The Buffalo Bills dominated the Detroit Lions. But you'll ask, Landon, why do you say they dominated them? I mean, it was 48-42, but they did. Look at the amount of offense they put up on them. They exposed the Lions defense. The defense Lions has been exposed today. And yes, Lions fans are going to clap back saying, oh, we're so injured. Well, last week when you beat the Packers, by the help of the refs, you said, oh, your coach should be fired for losing to a taxi squad like the Lions defense. Like, you can't have it both ways, okay? Your defense got beat, your quarterback didn't make enough plays to win the game, and your damn coach gave that game away. The Lions were well in hand to possibly win that game, but then your coach, Dan Campbell, gave up, or almost gave up, a touchdown on the onside kick with 10 minutes left. You're down 10 points and you have the onside kick, and then you almost give up a defensive touchdown. That's inexcusable. You still gave up a touchdown anyway, but after that, it was over. And yes, the Lions made it close. They almost got the onside kick themselves, but still didn't make enough plays, and your coach again is in the limelight, as he should be, because that was a stupid decision that could. It's another reminder of why the Lions will never win a Super Bowl. Saying that right now, your team will not win the Super Bowl this year. I know you're probably going to clap back in with the injuries, but let's get to it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Well, even from you Lions fans, I'm sure you're going to be salty as hell in the comments today. The Buffalo Bills win. Josh Allen, again, showing why he is the MVP of the league. Yes, Lamar Jackson came back today, had 290 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, like 65 rushing yards. Yes, that was an MVP-type performance as well. But look what Josh Allen did. Over 340 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground. He was on fire once again today, and again, no interceptions. Look how much the Bills win when he's not making turnovers. It's just the name of the game. The less turnovers you have, the more chances you are to win. And again, the Lions had a turnover today that really killed them. Really, really killed them. Amon-Ra St. Brown totally had the ball, totally was running through, made a football play, fumbles it away, and then the Bills get it, and then they also get another 15 yards because of the absolute terrible penalty that they had. And again, I don't want to talk about penalties in game, especially the Bills won despite these penalties, but there was an offensive or a defensive PI called in the beginning of the game in the end zone. Was not called. There was the obvious cheap shot when Josh Allen had already slid and given himself up and then just came and whopped him in the face. There were several holding calls that were missed. There was another PI missed at the end of the game. Is it just the NFL's purpose to anoint the Lions? Because we already seen they've already anointed the Chiefs as the team that, however you need, we'll help you out. We will absolutely bend over backwards to make sure you get the penalties you need to secure your victory. Now, yes, the Chiefs did not need that today because the Browns were too busy giving the ball away every chance they had. But the refs obviously are in the pocket in the pocket of the Lions right now, because there were several penalties today that just were blatantly obvious. Even Tony Romo and Jim Nantz said, like, oh, yeah, that should be called. And when they're even saying it should be called, it should be called, because, they kind of have blinders as well. But I don't want to talk about that because the Bills just won this game. Their offense has been on fire the last couple weeks. Josh Allen is on a mission. He just proposed to Haley Steinfeld. He's just running the gauntlet right now. Yes, they're still very likely going to have to play in Kansas City in the playoffs, but this team can beat Kansas City. Absolutely, this team can beat Kansas City in the playoffs. Yes, the Kansas City defense played well today, but again, they were playing against the Browns. And yes, things do change in the playoff time, but this Bills team, if their offense continues to perform like this, I know there is a bit of regression that will obviously come when it comes to the playoffs, but this team can go all the way. Yes, the concerns on the defense because they are so injured. But again, they beat the Lions today without Taylor Rapp, without uh, without Damar Hamlin was out as well. A couple others as well. They were very injured today as well, but they found a way to win. The Lions, you just got 4 key offense or defensive players back, and look, it didn't make a difference. It did not make a difference. You gave up over 500 yards of offense to the Bills, and I remember being talked about this all week with Lions fans. Like, look at our defense, and what we're so good is like we're gonna be even better when we get all our guys back, and obviously that's just not true. It's just not true. Aaron Glenn did not make the appropriate adjustments at halftime, obviously, because the Bills came right out and scored right off the bat. Just on fire in every sense of the word today. The Bills were just pouring it on. Now, Jared Goff did have a really good game. Had a slow start for sure. The Bills got to him a couple times, and that 14-point lead really helped them or settle and set the rest of the game forward. I mean, there were plenty of times where the Lions could have came back. I mean, Tyler Bass misses the shortest field goal of the year, like a 22-yarder, like wide left. It was never even close. Then Lions have a chance to go down and score a touchdown, and you get stopped, and you miss a wide left field goal by Jake Bates. There are several opportunities where the Lions could have won this game. Most importantly, of course, that onside kick. What a play. What a time to call that play. Obviously, we learned that from the Sean Payton school because it's right around the time that Sean Payton did in the Super Bowl against the Colts. Now, of course, he did that right to start the second quarter where you could surprise teams with the onside kick. That's what's so stupid now. You have to announce your onside kick. I bet if they would have kicked it and without having to announce it, they probably could have gotten it because they sure did nearly got it. They tipped it up, but Bills were able to pick it up and nearly take it all the way back to the house. But that's one thing in the NFL needs to stop doing is making arbitrary changes to ways for teams to win. The onside kick is a legitimate play to win the game. And stop giving me this crap of, oh, it's so dangerous. So many people get injured. It's like, how many times do you actually have an onside kick in a game? You don't have that many times where that's actually warranted, where games are that close. But when they are close, teams should be able to announce them whenever they want. They should be able to actually have a chance to recover said onside kick, and they should be able to kick it without having to announce it to the officials. The officials suck. The refs, the NFL refs, are terrible. Missed calls all over the field today, probably for benefiting the Bills as well. But again, the Bills were the better team today. They win 48-42, and the Lions are still fine. Now they're tied for the number 1 overall seed with the Eagles, and they're a half game above the Vikings right now. But if the Lions lose again, people could be going to Philly, and the Lions could end up having to play in a wild card weekend. That's how tight the NFC is this year. It is so close. There are 3 teams with a legitimate chance to win the number 1 overall seed, although let's be honest, the Vikings are not winning the number 1 overall seed because they will lose the Lions in the next couple weeks, and then that argument will be out the window. But the Eagles still do have a legitimate chance to win the NFC, so the Lions cannot afford to lose another one. Now, they do have a reasonable schedule down the way that they should probably sweep to end the season and wrap up that number 1 seed and the first round bye. But if they lose again, it's the Eagles, number 1 seed to lose. If the Eagles win and the Lions lose next week or any time in the next couple weeks, the Eagles are going to get the number 1 seed and have the home field advantage, and as a result, the Lions will have to play in the wild card. I hope that doesn't happen because I want the Packers to be able to go into Detroit and beat them in the playoffs, which is going to happen. If the Lions play the Packers in the playoffs, the Packers will beat them. Absolutely. The Packers defense did a better job at containing the Lions this week than the Bills did, and the Bills supposedly have a really good defense. Now, yes, they are injured, and it was clearly evident at times, especially on that deep throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown that should have ended like 20 yards down the field, but ended up turning into a 66-yard bomb. The Bills were great. James Cook was great as well. Teron Johnson coming out of the backfield, having over, I think he had a total of like 6 receptions for 120 some yards. He was on fire today. Dalton Kincaid showing why he was missed. He's one of the best young tight ends in the league. Even Dawson Knox had an absolute fantabulous catch where he tipped the ball to himself. Only he or a taller tight end could make that play. And there was another scenario if Dawson Knox doesn't catch that Bills punt, and there's another 6 points or 7 points off the board. So many times went in the Bills' favor, but they just played the better game. The Bills were the better team today. The Bills win. It wasn't as dominating a victory as you would think it was, but the score, the Bills really did win by about 10 points, even though the scoreboard said 6. It really wasn't that close because the Bills just ran out the clock the last couple minutes, just biding their time, just playing 5 yards out and recovering and making decent tackles. There was a nice hook and ladder play from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jahmyr Gibbs, but other than that, it just succeeded in taking more time off the clock. And yeah, again, if you're going to blame anybody for the loss today, blame Dan Campbell. Blame Dan Gamble. Dan Gamble loses again. He gets a little too good for his britches, and he ends up losing the game for his team. Now the Lions are instead of leading the number one seed in the NFC, they are now tied atop with the Eagles. And boy, the Eagles look like the better team right now. They really do. The Eagles do look like they have a really good defense. And the Lions, they do have some moments where they're able to generate a lot of good pass rush. But now with the Aleem McNeil injury, that is probably a season ender. There was another guy on that defensive line. And sure, DJ Reader was back today, but it seemed like he didn't make too much of an impact. I mean, Josh Allen, I think, only got sacked once, and really was only pressured a couple of times. He was just able to move out of the pocket with ease. There was no answer for the Lions for the Bills play action style game today. He could just do whatever he wanted. He could run the ball whenever he wanted, and he'd get at least 5 to 6 yards every time. I mean, the Lions lead the league in the amount of yards given up to quarterbacks with like a 6.7 average, which is insane. It's a terrible stat to nail your hat on. Now, the Lions still do have a good defense, but again, they were exposed today. And again, the team, or Dan Campbell's team, gets really chippy when they start to lose, and it's very obvious. They got away with several big penalties today that should have been called, but thankfully it didn't matter because the Bills scored on the touchdowns anyway, so it didn't really matter. But still, they need to be pointed out, because when Josh Allen gives himself up and you launch at his head, that's a penalty. When you're all over the receiver in the end zone and you prevent him from even making an attempt at catching it, that's a defensive pass interference. But like I said, the refs decided that, the Lions are the Lions and they're just not going to get called. They basically winked at the Lions saying, like, we're not going to call any penalties on you, so you can go at it and hit as hard as you want, as dirty as you want. And didn't matter. But regardless, Josh Allen, James Cook, Teron Johnson, Dalton Kincaid all made huge impacts in this game, along with Ed Oliver on the defense as well. Matt Milano getting that key fumble, and several others as well. The Bills played a complete game today. Yes, they could have definitely have been better on defense today, but the Bills played well. They were the better team, and now the Lions are 12-2. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Whether you're a Lions fan, Bills fan, or an NFL fan, period, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Have a great day. And as always, God bless and go Pack Go.